today. Yeah, we're kind of limited with light in our place. Um, we try our best. But the few lights that do come with the place are ballasted lights, so they're harder to get, they're more expensive. Um, so, there, we rely on our lamps. Yeah, it's too bad. I added the patriarchs and matriarchs of Judaism there, as well as the icon of the crossing of the Dead Sea. Um, but yeah. Anyway, that's significant for us Christians because it's Jesus and what he did by his mission, his life, his preaching, his teaching, his example, and by his Kabbalistic merit. He delivers us from the slavery of sin. Um, if we just seek him and we're able to practice the discipline to renounce and to avoid, and if need be, to seek his solace to conquer. And the greatest way to Jesus is through his mother. But, so I think that icon is very poignant for Christians as well. But this video is kind of an announcing of a different approach to doing these videos. I saw part of a homily from a bishop I have a lot of respect for. I may not always agree with him perspective-wise, but, doctrine and morality and canon law, I can't really dispute with a bishop. And, I've never seen him go off on his own. Hopefully he never does. Sometimes the destruction of the movements and isms can draw people away from Christ to put people in a group. Whatever ism or kind of politics that something is connected to, it acts as a distraction. And I've seen different movements, not just Me Too, but other movements, directly come at the church and pull people away and distract them. And then they start to water down doctrine because their connection to the group is so strong. And then doctrine becomes unimportant. And then that becomes destructive for that person's faith and how they live it out. And their obedience to the magisterium. But then a post also claims that this YouTube channel isn't really connected to the bishop. It's an AI theft of his voice. That's coming. That's going to be coming. Intellectual property law after lawsuits. I can see it coming. Programs, metadata, YouTube channels. Apps. Lots of this stuff ends up in court. And it takes the courts a long time to catch up. But somebody's voice, voices may sound the same, but for the most part, people's mannerisms, their quirks, their intonations, very difficult to copy. There are people out there who can mimic and steal somebody's voice, but when you break it down, on the micro amplitudes and, intonations and even frequency, I think it's not perfect. It's not as perfect as people think it is, and sooner or later, the courts will have to address this because it's becoming rampant. I've had people steal me for AI. No, no, nothing famous. I don't have any delusions of grandeur. I'm pretty aware of who I am and what's been done or what is being done to me. Um, but I don't know if it was to scare me or what. But it was somebody calling me from a bank with my voice, asking for my social security number, to verify something about my account, which is crazy because how would they get my voice? And it wasn't a bank that I bank with. I'm like, whoa. I hung up the call. But yeah, they were repeating back to me verifications like my name, my birth date. There was one other thing. I think it was my address or my phone number. I'm like, whoa. Now I know there's a lot of people around the Tri-County area, especially Saginaw County, that are using simulators. And they are targeting people, and they're getting voice prints. But I was pretty surprised to hear that. I was like, whoa. But anyway, I this homily that was posted kind of moved me, and the channel is going to move away from the whole complaining about what's happening to us, making people aware of what's happening to us, and it's going to focus more on spreading awareness, protecting others who are targeting like us. I know things that have happened to my family and I, especially my youngest daughter, myself, and my oldest daughter, and my youngest daughter's mother. It's shown our character in good ways and bad ways, but I feel that the weight, excuse me, the weight is more on the good side, showing we are people of character. And so I trust in this. We're not perfect. There's a point when you can be beat down so much that you get negative. You easily fall into the sin of despair. Now keep in mind, despair, I have to post this out there because of some of the people, despair does not mean suicidal. Despair means that it's difficult to find the ray of hope. Despair means that you instead of seeing the importance and the capability of prayer, you see the inability of reaching your goal, your hope, what you want or what you need. Sometimes we get our needs in His time. That's despair. Despair does not mean depression or suicidal. Anybody can have despair. The most happiest person on earth. Then a bunch of things happen, it will push you into despair. But despair does not necessarily mean suicidal. I just have to put that out there. It also does not necessarily mean depression. People with depression may have despair, but not all people who are in a period of despair are depressed. Despair could be spiritually mirrored with the dark night of the soul, which many people encounter at some point. People, especially people very sincere of faith. Some people, the dark night of the soul is a long time. I've read stories of saints. I'm a big fan of reading about saints, reading about saints, reading about heresies. I used to love to read about heresies in high school and college. And many of the saints that I've read, or the servants of God that I've read about, at some point in time had a moment of despair, a dark night of the soul. Some people it was short, some people it was long. But yeah, that wasn't a raccoon. But anyway, So, when you've been had enough happen to you, you can fall into despair, which you may backtrack and go into bad patterns. Even, I've seen people that were in AA. I grew up in around AA and Al Anon a lot. Um, Mind you, the people in our family weren't like hardcore smash up the bar fight, go home with a different guy every night, type of um, person. Actually, person, yeah, I guess. I just let that cat out of the bag. But she, she wasn't the stereotypical drunk. But there's a lot of stuff that happened there, a lot of behaviors and certain tendencies. So we spent a lot of time around AA and Al-Anon, and I loved it. It kind of formed my perspective. It's my first familiarization with the Catholic Church was through AA, and the second was through my best friend in high school. And the third would have been was reminded tonight about somebody I knew before I went off to college. Um, I forgot about him for a long time. Well, I think about him every now and then. He's just a great guy. He's the one who introduced me to the charismatic renewal. He's the one who, introduced me. I met a couple of the fathers, the friars. But mostly we just went there to, have mass, charismatic mass. With some of the Capuchins. Some of them were friends of or knew people who were friends of Saint Solanus Casey, and that was pretty cool. And it was, they're also connected to the Hispanic ministry, and well, at least in Saginaw County. And he also got me my job. My last job in my hometown before I went off to college, bartending, and I love bartending. It was fun. Met a lot of people. Learned I had a little game, a little bit. I never acted on it, but learned I had a little game. At the joking around with some of the bridesmaids and stuff at wedding. Brain fart. At the brain fart at the brain fart. Anyway, at the thing after the wedding, the word escapes me. But anyway, the party after the wedding, the word escapes me. But yeah, had a lot of good times. Learned how to make some great drinks. Well, yeah. Met some great people back in the day. And this guy, he was studying. I forgot what seminary he was studying at, but he was studying to be a Jesuit. It was in his second or his third year, and this is also where I learned the spiritual practices of Saint Ignatius of Loyola, and just through talking with him, picking his brain about different stuff, and then reading, and but in the end, his spiritual exercises led him to that he maybe would end up being a permanent deacon or something. He would not be a priest. He wanted to marry. But, so I met, he was a great guy. But anyway, back to the focus of this was the fact that I will be keeping this channel to inform people about, different tactics we've seen, different ways that people are targeting people. If we can try to help shed a light on some of the groups that are doing it. We have to a certain extent. But also some of this for us is personal as well. Different people that we know um, within our family do not approve of our religious expression or my former employment or even my chosen marriage partners. But anyway, so we'll be trying to help people through this channel and inform people, make people aware. Maybe our situation will be similar to theirs, but we're gonna, stop complaining so much. Many of the different ways that we're being targeted are in here. And if people question, how do I know I'm being targeted? Well, I've listened to your channel, some of your videos, and yeah, some of these things happen to my family too. But how do we identify this stuff? Well, I mean, some of it, it's just common sense. If somebody says they're a social worker and they're supposed to be helping you get resources because you're homeless, and after 3 months, nothing has happened, that social worker's not helping you. They may even be hurting you because you should already at least be on, SNAP benefits or some kind of, program to give you some kind of income while you get trained for a job or while you look for one. Or maybe hook you up with some group that will, give you some kind of job doing something and you get paid. Or that doctor that's supposed to, treat this issue that you have, this medical issue, and you've gotten several tests and you've went to see them, a dozen times, but nothing's happened. That doctor's not helping you. They're part of the medical establishment or the nurse practitioner or the PA, whatever, or the shrink, I'm not a therapist, but I'm a psychologist too. And I know all kinds of stuff that people do just to bilk the insurance companies. Obamacare is a blessing. I don't care what QAnoners or what conservatives say, because now I'm sitting in the middle with the Holy Spirit, and sometimes I don't agree with either side. And as far as party-wise, and especially as a libertarian, and I see that everybody deserves medical care and a place to live and food to eat. These are basic human rights, and that's why we have welfare systems. We have nonprofits, but yet we don't leave the decision who to help to the nonprofits. What I've seen, some of the people that give away food, they select who gets the food, by requiring signing up, IDs, tickets, all of this type stuff. What it do is it slowly decreases the amount of people that can get help. Oh, no, you have to get a ticket first. How do I get a ticket? Oh, you have to come to our church, synagogue, mosque. Oh, really? Or you have to be on our have a case at our clinic or at our therapy, clinic or whatever. Oh, you have to have a car. We only give food to people that have a car. That way we can fill their car. Oh, but I have a cart here. Yeah, really it's supposed to be a car. Oh, okay. Or did you sign up at church on Sunday? Or did you sign up, at Friday night when there was Shabbat? No. Or Friday night at prayers? No. Yeah, you're supposed to be on the sign in here. I can't give you anything. Oh. This is the problem therein that lies when you leave total control with the nonprofits. So when conservatives say, oh, it's not the job of the government, let the nonprofits, the churches, the synagogues, the mosques, they're going to help people. Yeah, but when you leave sole control to them, it can become problematic. I've seen it happen. And the same thing with the shelters. Oh, people are homeless. Hey, there's a shelter. Go there, get on your feet. Well, I've seen shelters too. I've been in one. And, I had to stand my own as an Eastern Catholic. Lots of evangelical groups came in, mostly apostolic and Pentecostal. and then a couple of Baptists who were in there with us, but you had to go to their chapel, and if it was their minister, which usually it was, you had to listen. Um, so they could be kind of pressure. What about the person that their spirituality is through AA? I'm not going to judge them. Where there's a seed planted, I'm going to try to help nourish it and fertilize it, but I'm not going to force it by breaking the shell, because then I may kill the seed. And what did Jesus said? Those seeds that throw on rocky soil, that rocky soil sometimes will kill them. I don't want that hanging on my shoulder of my soul. So I will not create a stumbling block for a brother or sister. I will not. I refuse. And I'll say that even to the president, to a general, to a bishop, to a rabbi, to a mayor, to a police chief. I will not create a stumbling block for a brother or sister. I won't force a seed to germinate either. I'll try to plant it. That's it. If I have a chance again, I'll try to nourish it a little bit more. Try to move that soil around it a little bit. Maybe drop some fertilizer in there. Sometimes it takes years or months or weeks before a seed can germinate for a plant to start growing there. And I grew up around orchards. You don't grow a good apple tree in 3 or 4 years. So, that being said, sometimes even the shelters can be selective. If somebody ticks them off, they're out. And they tick somebody off more than once, they may get banned. So, again, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of federal involvement in this. And I agree with saving money. Oh, I agree. The problem is when you do across-the-board cuts, you're hurting people. When nobody sits down with the bean counters, and nobody sits down with somebody who's gathered data, who's listened to case studies, who's looked at the numbers over a long time, people are going to get hurt by those budget cuts. When you don't question anything to anybody, you just go in and look at a balance sheet, people are getting hurt. I guarantee it. And albeit, yes, it's not a constitutional duty to employ people unless they're a veteran. So, my question is, with all the budget cuts and everything that's going on, there's a lot of veterans being hurt too. And we're the only people that U.S. code says they have to be housed, they have to be given medical benefits. And yes, even those VISNs that target veterans to try to take away their benefits, they do not legally have that authority, because when you break a VISN down, a VISN is a Veteran Integrated Service Network. It's basically an HMO. Those HMOs do not have the legal authority, because way up at the top, that's all they are, is a giant insurance, or not insurance, a giant health maintenance organization. Basically, at the top. That's all a VISN is. They don't have the right to prevent veterans from medical care. And when that's happening, that's a constitutional crisis in and of itself. And when call centers have more power than the veterans, who are who it is obligated that they're supposed to have medical coverage, I think that's a problem, because the call center, you don't see anywhere in U.S. code about a call center. And I know some of the Vet Connect and the VA Health Connect, some of these people are pretty bad people. And we're supposed to be housed. We're supposed to be given opportunity for education. We're supposed to be given preference for housing loans. And the VA is supposed to help us get a house. We're supposed to have, I'm trying to think, business loans, special business loans just for us. Service contracts for anything with federal, state, and local government agencies, again, preferences there too. All of this in U.S. code. So, if anybody should be working at the federal government, it should be veterans and retired military, because they're veterans too. And retired departmental Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, civilians. We're all the only people that should be employed if you look in U.S. code. The only people. So we should be exercising great caution what we cut, who we fire, who we let buy out their contract. Should be very careful. But this being said, you can know if you're being targeted. Other than a cut or something, maybe fallout from a cut, and somebody saying, "Oh yeah, we can't really help you because this or this." I mean, it may or may not be true with the things going on. This is a very confrontational environment. We've been getting more and more that direction. I'm not going to blame red or blue. Both of them are responsible. I would say probably the past maybe 20 years, I've seen it. It's been coming probably the past 20 years. And, no, maybe 24 years. Could be 24 years, actually. But, if it's somebody that's saying they're helping you and nothing's happening, or they say they're trying to be your ally or be your advocate and nothing's happening, and you found they're lying or you found that there's maliciousness, then judge the situation by its fruits. A human being cannot bring good out of evil. So if somebody sets you up to, they never put in your paperwork at the VA to get your medical care, or with Medicaid to get your Medicaid card, and they know you're sick, well, judging by fruits, that person had bad intentions for you. Yeah, they may have too many cases, but that's an excuse. Because, yeah, you remember I told you I'm sick, right? Well, yeah. There's no, well, yeah. Either you have good intentions or you don't. A person with good intentions will follow through. Know them by their fruits. So that's the best thing that I can advise people. You'll know things by their fruits. People will mess up, though. That's why you talk to them. People make mistakes. You forgive as much as you can forgive, because grace is always there. And people will mess up, but they will own up to it. If people don't want to discuss something, it wasn't an accident. They don't care. Therefore, know them by their fruits. What they're thinking is not righteous and pure and understanding and patient and loving and beautiful. It fails the test. It's bad intentions. So, you'll know. But if they own up to what they did or didn't do, and they're willing to try to talk about it at a minimum, if not even to try to help correct it, you have to forgive. You don't have to forgive people who do evil to you. That's a personal choice. We also have a God of justice. That's a personal choice. You may forgive them, but if they keep doing evil, they keep falling into sin, they keep, doing bad things to people, then there's a time you have to draw a line, because God does. He says, look, this is sin. You're repeatedly doing it. What are you going to do to change this cycle? Oh, I messed up again. Okay. What are you going to do to change this cycle this time? Oh, I messed up again. What I said last time. What are you going to do different this time? Hopefully, you'll reach that point when you can walk away from whatever it is you're doing to this family, or whatever it is you're doing to satisfy such and such person or such and such group. What are you going to do differently? And in the end, If they get aggressive and they argue with you about how you're wrong, then they've shown their real face. Just like during an exorcism when the devil or one of his minions show their real face. So it's my advice to people, do the test in, gosh, I forget when that is in Philippians. Do the Philippians test. That's what I called it. Do the Philippians test. And then look at the fruit. I think it's Corinthians, 1 Corinthians, where they talk about, or I could be wrong, where they talk about the fruits of the Spirit. What kind of fruit is it giving? What kind of, thing is coming out of an action? And something that doesn't bear a fruit, it makes your situation beautiful, or it makes you and the person who did that more kind, or it, makes everyone, more able to stand trials and tribulations, long suffering, or does it have nothing good at all? So that's the best advice that I can give people. And it's complicated, the people that are being targeted, and especially around where we are. Very complicated. It's a very complicated city. And, I always knew something was up with the city council. We have mixed in there. We have QAnoner Christians, evangelical, some that are ministers. But I could tell, with somebody who does have an MDiv, that they have no chaplain training whatsoever. They should not be standing in the role as a chaplain advisor to a government agency, because they have no sensitivity whatsoever to people who are not Christian. Nothing at all. And but it's just, we have a mix of, very racially extreme. You got the black Hebrew Israelites, the white Hebrew Israelites, and then you got Pentecostals, then you got conservative, and it's a complex town. I mean, like any town. Just the problem is, here we seem to have a lot of people that think they're organizers from all kinds of perspectives. That's the problem. What can I organize instead of what can I organize? That's the problem. But it should always be focusing on other people. Otherwise, all we're doing is building our own vanity. It's all about me. No, actually, it's not.